Okay, I'm good whenever, so,
I got 6:57.
except for, why is it not picking up?
Actually, I don't know.
What, internet?
Hey, Danny. Oh, wait. Never mind. False alarm, false alarm. I was looking at the wrong microphone.
Right. Yes, I agree. It's better to.
Yeah.
Get the truth out there. Usually have two meetings in the same day. The second one is super urgent.
Well, this is our first. The last,
That's September 30th.
That-
That's right. That's right. That was our second.
yes,
That was only like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
feels like it was
Yeah,
yesterday.
we got 29 days. on the agenda.
Busy people.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before moving on to the agenda, I would ask everyone for a moment of silence and respect. Two of our one board member, Cindy Carroll, recently lost her spouse, and our attorney for the town lost one of his children this morning. So I would ask for a moment of silence. Remember. Move on to authorizing the agenda. We'll move. Second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public comment? Anyone who would like to speak, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Provide your name, address. Just a reminder that there are 3 public hearings tonight. You are welcome to speak about those subjects during public comment, or you can wait until the public hearing if you choose. Gary?
Gary Luke, 21 Summer Road. I got a couple just minor things, really. Item number 3, the agenda. Half the time the agenda is amended by the board at the time they are sitting at the meeting. And which then precludes the public from knowing what's going on at the meeting. The biggest concern I had was that you added MRB in the February 12th meeting for the sidewalk project, which there was a presentation by them, which the public then would have no idea what that was going to happen. It might be of interest to them since it's going to be a many $1,000 project that you're talking about. It would have been nice to have known that it was there. The public's not forewarned when you add items to the agenda. I would suggest that any time that the agenda is amended, that the item be stated what is going to change, the reason necessitating that it has to be taken care of at this meeting or at the current meeting as opposed to the next meeting, and the reason that it can't wait till the next meeting. Some things can wait. Yeah, it's handier to get it taken care of, but it may not be. The other one, item 26, holidays in the hamlet. In what I see in the minutes and what was provided online, I don't see that the town is requesting any insurance documents from them, and or that the town is requiring to be named as a co-insured in case there's an accident or something. I'm assuming the town is sponsoring this deal coming in since they're paying like this. And I don't believe you have a public hearing on budget tonight. It's just so I'm concerned about combining the budget categories. I don't know how you will track expenditures. I don't know how, the case in point is the budget for the parks is being inclusive in other areas. I don't know how the public is to determine how much money is budgeted for the parks or how much is spent in the parks. You have one big pot of money. It would be nice, I'm sure, for the town to have one big pot of money and not have to budget anything at all. But it seems as though in order to be able to track budget expenditures in certain areas, there should be budget categories for it. That's about it for right now. Thank you.
Great, you had 14 seconds left. Anybody else?
Oh, Sheldon, look here, Didn't know the 3 minute.
Oh, yeah, I keep track of it all the time. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to. Oh, there goes the time. 14 seconds later. Move on to communications. Michelle?
The first installment report has been submitted to the county for my school taxes. And we are probably a good 90 to 95% collected at this point already, so just working on the little payments that are coming through a little late, but that's okay. We'll we'll continue to keep accepting them for now. And getting ready to do our recycling event Saturday, so that'll be good, and rabies. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you. Brent?
Had a planning board meeting on the 2nd. It was a revised site plan on Taylor Road that was approved with conditions. I have a planning board meeting coming up tomorrow for an expired subdivision and site plans on Taylor Road. They basically didn't complete their requirements, and they should be aware the subdivisions expire per county rules after a certain amount of time, and the county rules also. So they need to come back and redo those. Also would like to make a reminder, I'm unable to be at tomorrow night meeting, looking for somebody to cover. Went to the MCBA meeting today. They have the map of the hamlet. There might be a member that's looking to donate one of those maps to the town. Now, be interested in having it framed and hung somewhere at town hall. Holidays in the Hamlet's coming up on December 4th. Got an item on the agenda for tonight. For that tonight, also had to mention that Amendment 64 has got the lobster truck coming in. They have got lobster dinners on October 26th. And also pre-order those and drive through and pick up lobsters so you can cook them at home. They have made a subcommittee, Meg Amendment Moore. The acting on that subcommittee is the town liaison as well to help them try to figure out how to coordinate with the town board of some items that help generate what is outlined in our comprehensive plan down in the hamlet. I've been continuing meetings with the planning board attorney, code enforcement officer, and supervisor for code updates. We've got one of those on the agenda tonight for a public hearing. I also met today with the attorney, supervisor, MRB, to move forward with some subdivision revisions and upgrades. Looking good. Have not forgotten about the chapter 138, 159 for HPC, reminding parties that we need to progress on that. The fire department at the MCBA meeting had an update that there is a controlled burn November 9th down at Saxby's. They have that giant pile of pallets they're going to be burning. There'll be 3 fire departments down there. They're just trying to get out public notice, so to limit the number of phone calls to 911. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Kim.
Brent, I don't have anything to report because zoning board of appeals has not had a meeting. We do have one coming up in November, so maybe I'll have some communications then.
Thank you. Don?
Okay, October 2nd, we had an ECB meeting. There were two sites that we looked at. 1117 Cheese Factory Road by Harloff and Partridge Way, subdivide a lot. There's wetlands, but it isn't affected by the subdivision, so they passed that on to the board. Second one was the Complin site plan on Stony Ridge by off of Pond Road. Single family home. The site of the dwelling does not intersect any E-pods, although the driveway going up to it is affected. They're a little dubious about the area of disturbance. It's pretty small considering they're putting a nice big house there. So anyways, it's 30-foot culvert pipe. So basically, after much discussion, they said they needed clarification. There's a New York State DEC that they need clarification from them, the culvert design. Dwelling in the wet zone, wetland. And they wanted to know how we treated it, so they kind of deferred that to get some questions. That answered. Had a historic preservation meeting the night after that, and just continue to talk about houses being interested to be designated historic homes in that. Oh, the other thing, tomorrow night you needed a sub?
Yes.
All right, put me down for that. I meant to tell you that, I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things. The ethics board met with our labor attorney and had a recommendation to the town board, which is on tonight's agenda. I recently have moved the supervisor's office to the former finance office, keeping the former supervisor's office as more of a meeting room and having a flex desk in there for various people to use a computer, and still working on reorganizing a few things downstairs. Had a lot of complaints about political signs. You know, I talked about it at with the Sentinel recently. Our code is town outside village, 15 feet from the edge of the road, doesn't affect any state or federal laws. For instance, like putting signs in the roundabout, which is highly illegal, as well as attaching to stop signs and that kind of thing, anything that can be a distraction to drivers. Spray Park is winterized. The bird netting at the salt barn has been put in place, obviously after it was cleaned. Attended a summer rec meeting with various school and other municipalities. We'll be advertising for the various openings and various boards for 2025. Our AEDs amongst all our buildings have been updated recently. There has been a missing person in the village of Honey Falls recently. I've been in contact with the mayor regarding this, and as I think he put best, you know, it's not an endangering situation for other residents. Obviously, we hope for the best outcome in that situation. I'm going to be looking in 2025. The state law requires all operators of boats of a certain degree to have training. I'm going to look into and propose to the board that we sponsor such an event, possibly at the community center. We could get somebody to come in and put on a training for our residents. And of course, our recycle event on Saturday. Thank you, Michelle. And Tom Promiger from MRB is here. Tom, you know, I know we talked about sidewalks today, and certainly before we go with any, you know, we're still, because we're talking about state roads, intersections, we've got a lot of hoops to jump through, but we will be having a public meeting for all residents regarding sidewalks before we get too far. And we've said that all along. Yes. So again, thank you. Supervisor's monthly report is next.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the supervisor's monthly report for August 2024.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Town clerk's monthly report.
Motion to acknowledge receipt of the town's clerk's monthly report for September 2024, showing receipts and disbursements in the amount of $1,799.20.
Any discussion? On behalf of the town of Mendon, I'd like to thank everybody who paid their school taxes late and paid the interest. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 30th, 2024 as presented.
Also,
Any discussion?
Yeah, I like the font. I find it much more readable.
It's a new program. Thanks.
Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Budget adjustments.
Make a motion to approve the budget adjustments as outlined in the agenda.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? You can tell it's October because we're dipping into the contingency. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Vouchers.
I can make a motion to approve claims on all vouchers number 24573 to 24606 on general abstract 24-10B. In the amount of $27,693.33.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Excuse me.
Also like to make a motion to approve the claims on vouchers number 24-180 to 24-198 on general abstract 24-10B in the amount of $339,460.75.
And that,
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Also like to acknowledge library vouchers number 24-154 to 24-178, the library abstract 24-10B in the amount of $13,242.61.
Thank you. Moving on to number 11, this is a public hearing. I'll be opening the public hearing at 7:17 PM. Once again, if you would please give us your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less until everyone's had a chance to speak. Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. This is for adoption of the town code amendment, the local law on smoke shops. So if someone would like to make a
Make a
motion.
motion to adopt the local law as outlined. Correct.
Pardon?
We
I-
have the local law.
I have it. You want a copy of it? I mean, I know you all have received it
I
previously. If
received it, yes.
anybody wants to see it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? As we have talked, this is, does not affect anything that is currently operating in the town outside the village. This would be going forward. And obviously, the one smoke shop we have that is operating is not operating. We really don't know why it's not operating. I have a few ideas, but I don't have any facts behind that it's not operating. As I understand it, by talking to our attorney, if it remains closed for a period of time in our code, it would their pre-existing non-conforming would go away. So we know when it last was open, and we're keeping track.
I think the law in general is, it helps define what a smoke shop is,
Yes.
not just anybody that sells tobacco is a smoke shop. That's very important.
And it is like things like adult entertainment, it cannot be zoned out. Can't just say, we don't want it. Legally, we have to accept it, but we can put limitations on it. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a public hearing on chapter 230. This is regarding taxation for volunteer firefighters and ambulance personnel. I do have a copy of that as well. But it's- And I know we distributed that previously. So at 7:20, I'll open the public hearing. Same thing applies. Name, address. Rick?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, Rick Milne, Mayor, Village of Honeywell Falls. I reside at 37 Norton Street. I just wanted to mention that on this situation that you're talking about now, the village board will also have that on its agenda this month. And we would expect to continue on the service that we provided the volunteers. So I'm just mentioning that as a point of fact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Is there a motion to close the public hearing? Any discussion? So as you remember, I'm gonna say a year ago, I could be off.
Public hearing.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. All in favor of closing public hearing? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Yes, thank you, Brent. Next is the number 14 to adopt the local law.
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? As I started to say incorrectly at the wrong time, this, yeah, we did this about a year ago, give or take. But there since has been changes with the state. And the assessor felt that this was the appropriate response from the town. We're not limiting anything that was previously offered to firefighters or any volunteer person.
I'm just kind of curious, and it doesn't really have to do with what we're voting on, but is this something that's advertised by the fire departments? It's something that, I mean, I'm not sure that how many people are gonna say, well, I gotta get this tax break, so that's gonna be the ticket point for me. I'm just kind of wondering if it's, I mean, it is a benefit. Anyone know?
Mr.
Yes, it is,
Oh. Okay,
but it's also Monroe County, so Ontario County, even though we have firefighters there in Ontario. That's not like ours.
okay.
We've not seen a big.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Let's see. Next, we have a public hearing on the Mendon Fire Protection District #1 contract. I'll open the public hearing at 7:22 PM. If anybody would like to speak.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Mr. Mayor.
So, thank you. Again, Rick Milne, Mayor, Village of Honeywell Falls, 37 Norton Street. And I'm really not, I was really here with Jackie Main, who is one of our village trustees, Tyler Zavitz, our assistant chief. We actually have a fire call right now up at Southco, and that's why he stepped out. I am not going to take a lot of your time. I wanted to be here, quite honestly, in support, seeing that this was on as a public hearing tonight. And I mean this very respectfully, I don't remember seeing the contracts on as a public hearing in the past. But I also know that we're all going through a lot of discussions regarding fire services and ambulance services, et cetera. So I truly am here to support any discussion if it was needed. As this board knows, the village has taken what we consider a proactive approach. We've been in the news a couple of times over the last week or so. We have sent a letter out to all of our residents and business owners. And those letters have gone out to the residents in Fire Protection District 1 for Mendon. I'm not saying everyone has got their letter. We're trying to make sure that that's been covered. That letter explains a little bit about what we're doing. It has a QR code on it that you can link into and see the presentation. And the presentation is on our website. We are also targeting right now a couple of public presentations regarding why we're looking or why we've gone to per diem firefighters for part of the day. We're gonna try to set that up, at the school. I don't know if you got my message today or not, but I'm trying to see if November 7th and November 13th are available at the school, to have a public meeting. But I'm here, as I said, to answer any questions you may have if you do. We understand and we take very seriously the budget for the fire department and ambulance each and every year. We know that with hiring per diem paid firefighters, that budget and those numbers are going up, as you see in this current budget. And I want to be very candid with this group. Remember that you're always a year behind us in the budget process. Next year is when everything really kicks in. It's not, again, not that any increase isn't a big increase, but it's not, $100,000 to what would be proposed to your budget, but it would go up again. What we think this is doing for us, number one, what we know what this is doing for us, number one, is that during those morning hours, 5 or 6 a.m. going up through the day to 5 p.m., it's allowing 2 firefighters to be on that first truck out to respond immediately. And we have seen incredible benefit for that. We don't know, what the next step is. We are not opposed, and I want to stress that to this board. We are not opposed to those discussions of mergers. We are not opposed to sharing services in other ways. This is a stopgap for us to make sure we can get a fire truck out the door on those times. I will say though, and you've probably heard of the proposed OSHA changes to the fire brigade standard. That is going to increase the requirements for training, the qualifications, health statuses, etc. We don't know, we don't expect that will pass. Those OSHA requirements will pass as is, but we believe an iteration of that will pass. It's probably going to be a deep nail in the coffin of volunteer services. We can't get volunteers now. There's too much training required. We're trying to reach out with incentives. We're doing different things as well. But it's not bringing in those people that have 2 jobs, kids, ball teams and everything that we've all done over the years. But for whatever reason, it was different and we were able to leave and go on fire calls. And it's just not happening. So we feel this is very important. We feel we need to do this to protect people's homes and protect lives. So I appreciate the opportunity to just throw that out there. Jackie and Tyler, if he was here, would be very happy to answer any questions you may have. But please know, we don't want to raise taxes either. We feel we have to do this to protect our residents. And, where it goes from here, we don't know. It's an ongoing process. But we feel right now it's the right thing to do, and we feel we're seeing the benefits from it. So with that, we're here. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer as best I can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else speak during the public hearing? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to number 16. This is the contract adoption.
Make a motion to adopt fire protection district #1 contract with Village of Honey Falls. The amount is $205,981.03.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I had a question, I talked with Rick earlier, Mr. Milne. I had heard from somebody that there was a proposed incentive program from the volunteer fire department. If somebody was a volunteer fire department in that department, wanted to buy a home in the village, there was a $5,000 stipend. for them to buy a home in the village. And my question to Rick was, is this a part of this budget? Are taxpayers going to pay for that stipend? And if you want, this,
Yeah,
won't speak out of school, I'll let you.
No, I appreciate it. It's a great question. And I will say that this, first of all, it is true. The fire department corporation, and this is the important part. The fire department corporation with their own funding. This has nothing to do with this budget, nothing to do with tax, or funds raised by taxes. This is the corporation's own funds. They have decided that as a proposed benefit for new firefighters coming in that want to join the fire department. But we all know, quite honestly, it's not easy and not cheap to buy a home in the Honeywell Falls, Mendon area. So they proposed that they would fund $5,000. And then there would be, if I remember correctly, a 5-year commitment. And through Firefighter One training. The village board was a little bit conflicted on this. I will say that. Our village lawyer looked at it, but it was not our village lawyer's decision. And quite honestly, we could not dictate to the corporation that they could or couldn't do this. But it passed legal review, and then their own fire department corporation lawyer put it together. And so, yes, it is true, but absolutely, this has nothing to do with this budget nor any village funds.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking the question.
I just wanted to add that, we were going on about 1.5 years, since the town board authorized a committee to do research on, fire protection within the town of Mendon. On that committee, we had various representatives from the departments, the Mendon Fire District, the Village of Honeywell Falls, the town of Mendon. There was a recommendation. This board acted on that recommendation. The village board acted on that recommendation. We have never officially heard from the Mendon Fire District commissioners on that recommendation. I feel like in order for us to move on, and this really has nothing to do with this contract, but for us to move on going forward with fire protection, we need to hear from the district. Something official, something in writing, and whatever the answer is fine. But we need to hear something. And I think the mayor and I have had this discussion, because if the answer is no, we're not interested, okay. Then this board and the village board can talk about what other alternatives there are. I think speaking for this town board and the committee that was put together, they would like to see through the possibility of that recommendation of a town-wide fire district. But until we hear something from the commissioners, our hands are a little bit tied. I'm not saying we shouldn't go forward with this. As I say, what I just said really has nothing to do with this essentially, but we have a responsibility to provide fire protection for the people in the fire protection district. This board is the quasi commissioners, fire commissioners of that district. And this fulfills our obligation if we approve it tonight. Anything else? Is there a motion?
I did.
Oh, we did one.
Yeah, just
I'm
got that.
sorry.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I'm gonna pass down the contract for your signature. Okay. Next is the Tom, if you wanna, I know we're gonna talk about the budget, so if you wanna wait on that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna rush it.
Nope.
The next as the 2025 Town of Mendon tentative budget discussion. So, obviously I proposed the, tentative budget to the town board 2 weeks ago. I had a discussion with, most of you, and, one thing that came out as an area of concern is healthcare and, keeping it attractive to our employees. And through our discussions with the, broker, I think the board is considering changing our policy as of 1/1/25. And if we're gonna do that, we obviously have to fund it. And I came up with a couple of scenarios on how to fund that, but before I get into that. I just wanted to find out if there were any other changes in funding that the board would like to proceed with. Because quite frankly, if there's other things you want to change, there's no point in me talking about this change, right this minute. So I'll open up the floor.
I'm good.
I covered all discussions that I had previously.
All right, so I'll get back to the healthcare part. So I did contact our financial people and her suggestion, I should go backwards. My suggestion was to increase the contingency. By law, we're limited to our contingency. And she spelled it out very nicely in an email. And she felt that what we should do is just budget more money in for healthcare in the budget. Because she goes, if you're pretty much in agreement that you're gonna make some changes and it's gonna cost the town some money, then just budget for it. Don't add to contingency. That was her suggestion. On a sidebar, I find it they've been extremely helpful throughout the budget process. The fact that we're not in the same place at the same time, at times it's, you don't get an answer in 2 minutes, but by the same token, I've gotten an answer in within a day at the very, very latest. So I'm gonna hand this out to the board. And the changes are in yellow from the tentative, and it still is marked tentative. But what this does, if you want to compare this to your tentative, is that it adds $25,000 to the A fund. And it adds $75,000 to the DB fund. We don't know who's going to do what. I will tell you that I have talked to a couple of our people, and I do think that there will be some changes based on what's offered, but they're, asking them for a decision is like, okay, well, what do you offer? So I'm saying I can't offer anything. It's a possibility.
It's the chicken or the egg right now.
Yes.
We have to budget for it, but we don't know what's gonna happen until they enroll.
Right. And the most expensive part of this would be if somebody who is receiving a buyout for healthcare all of a sudden takes employee plus spouse. That would be about a probably about a $16,000 hit per employee on the town.
John, for me, I think we have to move in this direction. We have to move away from the single. It's very happy for us to figure out how to do it, keeping the 0% flat tax rate. Thank you. And I think this is what we have to do. And I'm very comfortable.
Okay. It is, we're, Danny, I'm gonna paraphrase what you said at the last meeting. Then where does that money come from? Well, as you can see on the highlighted portion, we would be increasing the capital reserves for highway equipment. And that money is in reserves now. So yes, it is using more money out of the reserves for equipment. It still leaves us with a decent balance, but it also would provide this type of healthcare. Now, if for some reason this mythical $100,000 doesn't get spent, it just gets rolled over into fund balance. So it's not like we're committed to spending. But
we need to be prepared.
Yes, and we're gonna have a meeting with the broker and the employees. I believe it's later this month, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
29th, maybe.
Later this month, and at that point, if the board approves this, that's what's gonna be spelled out. Now, obviously, it wouldn't take effect until the organizational meeting in January, but there again, we're in that same chicken and egg situation.
I support it, and I think, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I think we also have to take into account the, child health loss. Which is if we offer the family as a baseline, then our employees' children are not eligible for the child health loss. And I had my daughter on it for 2 years, and it was outstanding medical benefits that they don't want for anything. So I think that's one thing we need to keep in mind, and I think, like I said, this is an important first step towards getting back to where I think we should be for healthcare.
I agree, Brent. I sat out there in the meetings for last year and everyone was talking about how important this was, and so I think we need to move forward with it. I'm impressed that you were able to finagle the budget so it wouldn't have a tax increase, but I do think that we may have to start in January increasing some of what the employees pay, the percentage a little bit.
And obviously last year I was, so I could say I was part of one, this, and I do appreciate both Brent and John taking it and making this seem like it's gonna come to fruition. So I appreciate that.
I agree with, possibly the change in percentages in January as well. We never ranked 13% to 20% right now. Not at once, but slowly. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I agree. We've bumped up some of them from time to time, but, I'm not at all in favor of going over 20%, at least, not for 2025, that's for sure. But, I do think, as we have talked about, that, every year I've been here, the healthcare has gone up, and we're not talking a couple of dollars, we're talking about a lot of dollars. And, the reason we went to single is we were trying to control the cost to the town. And obviously, this still controls that. I think the Child Care Plus, Brent, I think you're doing the legwork to get us to this point. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, because I know you spent a lot of time on it, and you met with a broker and made this really made it happen at this point. Thank you.
Glad you can make it with that sort of sometimes.
Is there any other discussion? Okay. Is there a motion to accept this as a preliminary budget and establish a public hearing?
Moved. I'll second. I'll second.
Okay. So the preliminary, the public hearing, excuse me, on the preliminary budget will be held at our next meeting, November 18th. And then, of course, it could be possibly ratified at that time. I will tell you that I forgot to write down the date. If it's not, we probably are going to have to have special. And I don't mean that as a negative or a threat. I'm just telling you that I think it's, memory serves me, it's December 15th in Monroe and Westchester counties. That the final budget has to be presented. If not, then the preliminary or the tentative, whatever the budget is automatically becomes the final. But generally, we don't like to wait that long. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to number 19, which is the Veterans Day lunch.
Make a motion to approve the Veterans Day luncheon to be held on Monday, November 11th at the town of Mendon Falls Post 664 Community Center on 67 North Main Street, immediately after the Veterans Day ceremony in Mendon Falls. All veterans and their families are invited to attend.
I'll second
Any discussion?
How is this usually run and set up? Because that's a work day for me, so I wouldn't be able to assist on that Monday.
Sure. So, the ceremony at Four Corners is, at 11 AM. Usually wraps up by about 11:30, and, everyone's invited to the community center at that point. It's open to, veterans, families. There's no residency requirement. There's no requirement of proof of service to our country. If they show up and say they're a veteran, dig in. The HFMP has basically does it all. They prepare all the food. We just serve it. Am I
Mhm.
missing something, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, and we did a lot of to-go now because of COVID, and people really like that, or a lot of them will come in now.
So there's not much set up.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, no.
I think the night before, maybe we've done some things with,
Yeah,
I haven't.
the community center has been rented the day before, but it shouldn't go past early afternoon.
So I can help on Sunday. I
Yeah,
just can't help.
yeah, I mean, there really isn't much. It's mostly dragging everything up from the basement and just getting it, make
Yeah.
sure everything's cleaned up and decorated.
Tables, chairs, and decoration.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't mind the tables and chairs, not the decoration.
yeah, you would be good at that.
I think there
You don't want me to do
was. There have been some decorations, patriotic decorations. That's
They're downstairs in totes from last year. Yep. Mhm.
And we may have to make some, purchases of,
So is that elevator working? Just not.
You can go check.
I don't want to hear it.
hopefully it is.
I
Yes.
can take inventory and see if we need anything and get it ordered. Yeah, I don't think we need much. We have a
I
ton.
would doubt. Cause those plates, they're not like paper plates, but they're not like good shiny. They're
Yeah,
kinda Plastic, so.
They're
we're able to
reusable.
Use those from year to year.
But
they do-
The tablecloth from last year.
Yep. No, because those are those like really thin red throwaway, which I can grab some. But the like decorations are all there, All the heating pans are there.
I can make myself available for hanging, you mean,
Okey doke.
and I can make myself available on that.
Okay.
I'll be there,
I'll be
whatever
there
we
too.
need. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next is the Ethics Committee. This is to hire an attorney for investigation.
Make a motion to employ the services of Lawrence Lowe P LLC for the purpose of conducting an investigation recommended by the ethics committee.
Second that.
Any discussion?
In the packet of information that I received, I'm under I meant to bring it tonight, I didn't, I was under the impression that ADP was going to be doing the investigation.
They do not do an investigation of this type. This was really out of their scope.
Okay,
Am I
so-
correct, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going with an outside, and this is the same firm of the woman that was that was in the meeting, the ethics meeting, correct?
Yes, we hired her previously.
Yeah, we hired her.
As a
for-
legal
so that's
attorney.
why it's South Minor. What is her point of, what is the firm's point of contact? Is it the ethics committee or the town?
Well, the Ethics Committee referred it to us. They recommended an investigation. So at this point, we would be possibly hiring that firm.
Yeah.
Or we can make other considerations, to do an investigation. And bring back whatever it is that is the result of the investigation would come back to the town board.
Yeah, which I know, I just wondered what would be their point of contact, because without getting into any detail, it's pretty all encompassing, and I just want to make sure it's going and shoot down channels that might not have a conflict of interest.
So when you say point of contact, I guess I'm not following that.
I assume the investigation is going to be talking to someone at the town to set up meetings with the employees and.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering who their point of contact is.
To provide names and phone numbers or something?
Yeah, I mean, I just, I kind
I
of
would
wondered.
assume Michelle and I would
Okay,
be able to provide that information.
okay.
It's just, names and numbers, emails, whatever,
Okay, all
that
right,
type of thing.
all right, I would ask, and I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I would ask Michelle not be part of the process since she's part of the investigation, so
Happily removed.
okay, great. All right, that's all I need.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Um,
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is New York State Department of Transportation regarding the traffic circle agreement on the intersection of Route 65 and 251.
I will make a motion to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation for the maintenance of the traffic circle at the intersection of New York State Route 65 and 251.
I sent the agreement to the town attorney, and of course, he said, like every agreement, make sure that the insurance is in place, et cetera, et cetera. So we certainly will be doing it, if approved. As we all know, it's been visually greatly improved recently by the state of New York. I feel like it's a main thoroughfare through our town, certainly an entranceway to the village. I don't know of anybody who really liked what it looked before. But I think this would be a good opportunity for us to maintain it. When I've seen some of these other traffic circles in Arundequite and Farmington, they, the original argument when I first complained to the state was they didn't want you to be able to see through the intersection to see what cars were coming. You're only supposed to pay attention to the cars coming from your left, immediate left. Well, obviously, other communities have them. They don't have some, what were they, sumacs, I think? Yeah. Giant sumacs blocking your vision that were, quite frankly, somewhat undesirable looking. So obviously now what they have there is a lot nicer and we'd like to maintain that.
Who does the town maintain the, because obviously there's more grass now, the cutting and all that kind of stuff. The town maintains it.
Where,
Oh, in the circle itself.
no, the state.
The state does, okay.
Yeah, this would allow us, state would allow us to maintain it, cut the
Yeah.
grass,
Yeah.
turn back the trees, plantings, flowers.
Okay, all that stuff. Okay, good, good.
I fully support that. State's gonna give us the ability to make it less of an eyesore.
Yes.
I would appreciate that.
And I wanted to thank our county legislator, Mr. Milne, for being involved in this and writing a letter of support to, even though it's outside the village, it's still within the legislative district. And so this is something we all would like to see happen. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, dispatchers and lead mechanic wages, salaries discussion.
I had a discussion with Andy, and one of the questions we had about the dispatchers are different. I mean, that the rate's already been set. It was already set in the January meeting, the organizational meeting. I think the question was asked if there's a disparity between someone that has a CDL versus someone that doesn't have a CDL, and they all have CDLs, correct? Okay, so I just want to clear that up. Second of all, we were talking about the discussion, we're discussing Carter's salary. Sal, I'm gonna ask Ed some questions and see.
Sure.
What was his former position before taking lead mechanic?
He misrepresented that last meeting, it was a labor, we don't have laborers, he's a quick time,
Equipment operator.
and he helped in the shop.
Yeah.
He actually did all of the shop work, most of 90% of the shop work.
Okay, so he will be moving to the lead mechanic
He's
position.
gonna stay in, is doing all the shop work, and then he's gonna also inspect out the equipment, which he's already, actually two things. We got dinged, it was said at the last meeting that the highway department got dinged for hash on 5 things. Actually, 3 of them were due to the building itself being out of compliance and nothing really to do with the highway department. fire marshal stuff, all plates on electrical stuff not being properly reinstalled. And, patch logs for workers' comp were not kept in the building. Denise asked about that, and she was told that they need to be separated. And they need to be all in one building, that's correct, they need to be separated, so she was afraid of that. She figured all that out. Two that were, was, getting to your question, one was, first responder awareness training, and we can't figure out what that is yet, so we're working on that. The guy that wrote us up on it could give us course to take, but we weren't trained in it, he wasn't being trained in it, we can't. So anyways, Denise is working on that. The other one was lockout tagout, where the previous mechanic didn't do it, you have to have an annual check. Carter's already taken that on, got it straightened out, he's already done our first day, so we're now compliant with lockout.
So, I mean, I think what I heard last time is being responsible to taxpayer money, which I try to do in every decision I make, is having Carter at 35, whatever, 35, 50, I forget what it is that an increased tax burden on the town?
No, it's that wage is just moving into the last person that's doing it. So we're just moving him up into that position. But quite frankly, I sent all you guys an email about his qualifications and some of the work that, we're able to do is only because of his certification, working on air conditionings, buying Freon. The last technician or mechanic, everyone say, didn't have any certifications. Carter's got 3 or 4 ASC certified. You've all read it, right? Y'all saw the email.
Yeah.
So more qualified, actually worked in the industry. Been doing it a lot longer. He's actually secured a truck for 2026. But pending budget approval, it's gonna be $30,000 cheaper than the last two that were responsible. So that's already done. So 2026 spec and equipment, and everything is pretty much done. So I mean, he's much more on top of it. Vendors are much more willing to stop down now than they were in the past. So we're able to more options.
So I guess I'm gonna
So he's actually saved out $30,000.
my opinion last time is I didn't see a problem with it raising. There's other people within the town employment that responsibilities have expanded and we've addressed that. And it's being addressed in this year's budget, not necessarily being addressed right now, but being addressed in this year's budget. So I don't have a problem. And again, I said that last year just as a gut reaction, but based on what you're saying right now, that would be my recommendation is to go with that 35.
Yes, I read through the email, some of it, yes, he's qualified to be in this position. I understand that, I don't think he would be here if he was not qualified. I've gone through this, and once again, there seems to be a trend here of wanting to, when somebody leaves a position with the town, is to pay the person that comes into that the same amount the last person was making. I do not agree with that trend. I believe that a position is paid an amount, and then that person is rewarded through periodic increases to get up to an amount. I guess I'm a little surprised that a 14-year employee of the town apparently is not qualified to be here. And that this one is. Now, I have also reviewed the mechanics from our highway salaries comparison across the town. And I will tell you that as I'm looking at this, the current rate of $30.98 is actually on the upper end of mechanics within Monroe County. And as a matter of fact, exceeds a union shop mechanic. So to take it from $30.98 up to $35.84, because that is what was budgeted and there's money in the pot to be used. I don't think it's proper use of the money. As I stated last time, 5%, we'll take them up to 32.53. If there's a lot of room between 32.53 and 35.84. But I do not feel comfortable throwing 35.84 because there's money in the budget to move it.
You're also calling him just a mechanic. He does a lot more than mechanics. He does a lot of computer work, he does a lot of spectrum with the vendors, he takes care of the fuel system, which is audited, but no one's been down to audit it. He does all of that. He takes care of all of the extra stuff to make sure the shops are compliant, and he has been doing this. So when you say just mechanic, you're really cutting him short.
Did I say just mechanic?
Just a mechanic and union check. But anyways,
I didn't come here to debate. That is what I feel,
I'm just saying.
and I'm not gonna change my opinion. If I am outvoted, I accept that. But that is what I feel.
So, I've been trying to, as I've expressed at the last several meetings, trying to get our description, job description, civil service, all speaking as one when it comes to job titles. So if someone was described as a laborer, that's what they were described as civil service. I know with this particular position, we're working with civil service. Danielle's been a big help in clarifying a few things to get the proper civil service title with the job duties, that kind of thing going forward. And I'm all for that. And what I'm trying to do essentially is refer to the person and their position, and so that it matches civil service, and it also matches what we have in our job descriptions, trying to get that together. It's an ongoing thing. We're working on it, but sometimes the descriptions of civil service do not always match what we have traditionally. And sometimes the people have changed, excuse me, and it hasn't been updated. When I first came here, we got a thing from civil service to verify half the people. I'd say at least half the people on their list were either not working for the town of Mendon or deceased. So we've been working on it over the years, but it's also something that does require a certain amount of time, and having somebody who can take some of that responsibility, day-to-day responsibility, has been a big help going forward. So she has already codified the civil service, something that was supposed to be done in April of this past year. And I take responsibility for the fact that it wasn't done in April. But we are working towards having all these things match up.
I have one question for Andy. In the email, that Denise had in the attachment, can you explain why you have two dispatchers, one at 26 and one at 25, and then the new hire to be determined would be at 30?
I just put that number there because there's still the possibility that that person may also be running a truck more than others. 5 is a day shift, and then there's pay differentials. I think I stated in there for our guys, and these dispatchers also for working overnights on weekends. So to be determined person is going to be overnight on weekends, Friday from 11 to 7, Saturday from 11
So
to
that
7.
with the shift
So-
differential, that would bring it up to the $30.
Yeah, I mean, you have to try and get someone in there that's gonna willing to work those hours, not weekends. You gotta make it somewhat attractive for them, and I just put it in that more than what you all voted on or agreed on in the resolution. Not at the high end scale. I might be driving a truck on call basis here and there. If need be. Still working.
Thank you.
Anything else? Is there does anyone want to make a motion or do we want to move on?
I don't believe enough motion needs to be made for dispatches, correct? This would just refer to.
Well, anything the town board identifies, the town board can change. I think the question at the last meeting was whether or not the individuals were CDL compliant, and according to the highway superintendent, apparently one of them hasn't been hired yet. So it's, I mean, I guess,
I thought the advertisement said CDL was required,
oh, great.
state.
I was just referring to previous times when they didn't all have CDLs, I guess, because I know it's hard to find somebody with those qualifications to work.
Regarding the head mechanic position. Like I said, I mean, 5%. I think with a 5% raise like 2 years ago, I mean, I don't think that shows progression in someone's career, which it sounds like this is. So, you want to round it out, make it 35. That's my opinion. Yeah, I know, my opinion is very lonely. I'm the only one with it, but
I work in public sector, so I'm not on the same page as you, and I do think we have a financial responsibility to the resident. I appreciate, what the current employee is doing, but I feel like I'm kind of on the same page as Brent. You work your way up. As far as longevity. Different. In private sector is different.
Brent, could you run through those numbers again? I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was,
The percentage,
Well, the current rate was what, 30?
3098, going up to 3584, is a 15.7% raise.
15.1.
Seven.
go up 35, 84.
So I looked at a couple different numbers. 5% is what I mentioned last week. For an example, it's 3253. 7% is 3315. 9% is 3377. 10% is 3408. That's where I stopped.
10% raise for additional responsibilities, leave it alone mechanic. Problem with that, I can live with 34.
You said being the loan mechanic?
What's that? Being a, yeah, the loan. There was two before.
Right. We're staying with one mechanic.
Probably we'll just bring someone else in at 25, 26 bucks an hour. And I got two other guys that are mechanics. One has a shop and I have one body shop. So if any comparison where he needs help, didn't need to be two mechanics in there. In my opinion.
And Tom,
That's
I would
also
say,
saving. And so that's bringing the $30 down. Person that would have came in as a mechanic, you're saving $5 an hour there. So that's how that all kind of shook out. That $5 going up, save 5 by bringing in another person. So it's essentially staying the same as 30.
I think I agree, Tom, 10% I think that's between us. I think that's what the compromise is called.
Yeah, sure. I can, yeah, I just think, like I said, I know there are a couple of examples in the town of people that are getting a bump because they've gone from doing this to doing this. I mean, I think we should be.
I haven't. Just kidding. I haven't.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. Help me with the wording, to approve the salary for the lead mechanic for the highway department to be $34.08 per hour.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Super. Next is number 23 on
We
your,
don't, I'm sorry, we don't need to, for the dispatchers, we're all set with that.
yeah, we set that. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, anything the town board sets, the town board can unset. But, yeah, I think my concern at the last meeting was the salary range, regarding, non-CDL. Number 23, the 2024 Monroe County Land Use Decision-Making Training Program for attendance approval.
Make a motion to authorize the planning board vice chair Earl DeBrue to attend the Monroe County Land Use Decision Training Program on October 30th, 2024, at Monroe Community College, 4:30 at the cost not to exceed $50. Paid from account B 8020.430.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next, Town of Mendon Youth Center, this is to hire a position.
I'll make a motion to hire Sophia Burke to work at the Town of Mendon Youth Center at hourly rate of $60.
So,
Any discussion?
Jared, second.
Is this you said somebody, two people?
Two people, left, that, one we knew was leaving and one left. She thought she was gonna stay and then she decided not to, so we're down to, the possibility of 3 people right now.
And this would be the fourth?
Yes, only 2 of them are there at the time.
Okay.
Obviously, but, yes. And in full disclosure, I have, the LLC that I'm involved in has previously hired Sophia Burke. Person.
Okay. She sent in a bit, she sent in, saw her. Well,
Yes. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Declaration of surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All this would go to our event on Saturday, cleaning out the closet, so to speak. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Danny, thank you for putting that together. Holidays in the Hamlet, the community event wagon ride.
I will make a motion to approve payment of $1,500 to KQ Percherons, 1759 Wayport Road, Macedon, New York, for wagon ride and holidays in the Hamlet community event on Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Paid for from account B 7550.450 after the delivery of qualified insurance.
Any discussion?
This is the MCBA puts on this event last year, a couple of sponsors. All they sponsored this wagon ride. There's 2 horses, they get a nice wagon, there's some Christmas lights on it. It's nice. In my opinion, this is something that really, in past holidays in the hamlets, you have, some people go over to Westminster, some people are over at the Academy. This is Mendon Commons. This is where they begin. So this horse wagon ride kind of brings the entire hamlet, the entire event together. There will be hot chocolate also involved on this. Santa Claus rides around on this. I think it's something that's really good for the community. Really, it is a benefit to not just the MCBA, but the entire community. All this stuff.
Any other discussion? Maybe I'm dreaming this, but didn't somebody provide this, or did they hire somebody previously to do it? Do you know?
A local farmer does a wagon ride. He donates his tractor and the wagon and the hay. And then last year, somebody did provide this person to do it.
Gotcha. I just didn't wanna cause any problems with the local farmer.
Last year, the local farmer and these horses both ran at the same time.
Gotcha, so we're not.
Yeah, we're not stepping on anybody's. toes,
Yes,
no.
that's-
And actually, there's talk of, for lack of a better term, a bar crawl involved, so there's punch cards, so you can go down to, find the 64, United Tavern, Pat's Pigs is gonna have something over at United Tavern, and people can get on this wagon and go around and collect punch cards and they, throw them into whatever raffle. So it encourages everybody to go around, but no, this is not. They can do that on the hay wagon also.
And it's good to know that, with the alcohol involved, of course, that we will require insurance as we always
It
do.
does not have to be alcohol, it can be an appetizer also.
It can be hot chocolate. Sure. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I would ask that we omit number 27 from tonight's. I should have said that earlier. The town attorney isn't here. I don't feel qualified to speak on the stipulation. We'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting, so we'll hold it.
Table.
If that's all right with everyone.
Do we need a motion to table it?
That probably would be today.
So
Second.
All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Back to public comment. Anybody? Danny?
Earlier you mentioned a missing person, that you didn't name the person, I assume means the public doesn't even know the name. If more question than comment, so it's important that you let people know, but. Sure.
Thanks. Gary?
In listening to your discussion about the pay for employees. Seems though at one time, several years ago, town had, or at least highway department had, a pay structure in which you would hire somebody in at a rate, and there was several steps that they could progress through, and they knew that they would, if they did a job and they were had a good proficiency or rating or whatever, they would move up in pay grade maybe the following year. It's not up to, it's not left out, well, I think they're doing more work, or I think they're doing less work and like this. And most places have steps within pay grade. So if you're a dog catcher and you start in, you assume that the person is trained. And once he gets that training done, he increases his benefit to the town. You move him up in a step. It's just not automatic. He has to be progressing through. And it sounds like that should be reinstated to the town. And not just the highway. It should be done throughout all the employees. And that way they know that I can move up until they hit the top. And then it's only if the town gives a 3% raise, those are adjusted all the way through. And once you top out, all you're gonna get is whatever the town throws to you, 3%, 2% or whatever, or nothing. But it sounds like, and in that way, the employee, when you bring an employee in, he knows that he or she knows that I can move up, and here's how much I'm gonna go to. And it sounds like the town has just kind of got away from that now. And it's, well, we'll pay him what we think. And kind of with what Brent was saying, in a way, I kind of agree that if I'm paying somebody 40 hours, X amount of dollars for 40 hours work, how do I assign them more work to give them more money? Because then I was overpaying them before, for not really, I'm paying them for 40, but they really weren't doing 40 hours. It's kind of complicated in that way. But if you're going to compensate somebody, give them additional duties where they really doing 40 hours work before, or were they doing 28 hours, I can give them another 12, then you don't really need to give them a raise. And it's just kind of a round thing, but I think you need to get back to steps, get 4 or 5 steps so that over a period of years, for time that they know that I can progress, I can move up as long as I provide a good service to the town. And that's something that has to be worked on, and it sounds like you need to work on your job descriptions. And see what you got, and maybe does the county, I know the county supposedly has job descriptions. But again, to the highway department, a highway, a mechanic one or a truck driver one doesn't do the same thing in Mendon that they do in Pittsburgh, that they do. They do a lot more general work in Mendon than driving a truck and sitting there waiting to be loaded with a load of brush and they drive off. And those, so you can't really rely on a general town-wide thing. Greece is entirely different, big towns are different. That's something that like John said, we've been working on it, or you guys have been working on it over the last few years. Maybe you need to bite the bullet and do it. And get it done, and not let it drag on for years and years until the next problem comes up and then say, oh, we need. That's all, that's just my.
Thank you.
thought.
Anyone else? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
15 minutes now.